Hello, this is Charles Scoville, your Golden Harvest agronomist with your Agronomy in Action Focus Friday here on July the 5th. Well, I sure hope everybody had a great 4th of July yesterday and had a chance to spend a little time with friends and family. Certainly have enjoyed my time here in the field this week. And I want to start as usual with a crop update, some agronomy watchouts, and I do have a special guest with us today to help us better understand the GHX app. So, jumping right into the crop update, I actually use that GHX app all the time for coming up with this information. And that corn that we would have planted on the 1st of May right now should have accumulated 1,063 heat units, putting that at about a V13 growth stage. So, what's also cool about that is I'm able to look ahead and knowing that I need about 1,350 heat units to get this 100-day corn to silking. We're looking at approximate silk date of the 22nd of July. And of course, we're talking tasseling. That means we got to start the tassel coming out a week or so before that. So we are getting right on it. You think about the old knee high by the 4th of July. Boy, a lot of this crop has far surpassed that this year. Soybeans also looking good. Of course, they should be flowering right now and getting into that full swing of nitrogen production with a good set of nodules, but great time to go out and dig those plants and look at the health of those nodules right now, too. And of course, we're seeing canopy closure and gosh, with wheat harvest starting just around the corner in southern part of the state, some's already started here and there. Possibly some people still thinking about double crop soybeans. We talked about that in an earlier episode if you want to jump back to that one. But watch outs on the agronomy right now. First thing is, it's interesting talking to guys. There's a lot of sprayer scouting going on right now. And that's good because it's able to set some expectations out there, but also, maybe a chance that we say, boy, we probably should have looked at that field a little earlier in the year because maybe we would have replanted that. But again, I think it's just great that we're out there and we're looking and keeping an eye on that progress so we have a good expectation for what harvest may look like. Tar spot, of course, second thing on our mind. And the reason is I'm starting to get phone calls about and photos sent actually to my phone about, hey, is this tar spot? Got this little black dot on the leaf there. And of course, the best test out there is you got to wet that spot, rub the spot to see if that spot rubs off. And if it is, of course, then it's just fly frass or fly manure on that leaf there and nothing to worry about. But if you do wet it and it does not rub off, make sure you're letting me and others know about that. Very possibly you could have some early onset of the tar spot out there. So we want to keep scouting. We want to focus that scouting a little bit more on the lower canopy right now. You think about where those spores are on the ground and working their way up. It'll be later in the season when we see tar spot from neighboring fields blowing around and coming in on the top of the canopy. But certainly, let's stay vigilant and looking out there. The other thing that we don't have to look for very hard is driving around seeing a fair amount of yellow soybeans. And, riding with some dealers yesterday, even it was one of those things where you say, well, what's the cause? What's going on out there? I see yellow. Something's not right. You got to get out of the truck and take a look. And so, with that, things we're looking at, if we see, and I've seen a lot of this manganese deficiency, where you got that dark green vein and that yellow between the veins, one of two reasons. I've actually seen it because the soils are truly deficient and the pH is normal. That's less likely. More likely is usually we got a high pH soil and the manganese may be in the soil. We just can't uptake it into the plant. And so in that case there, in all cases, we need to get a foliar application of manganese out there on that crop. And boy, unfortunately, if it is a pH issue, that's oftentimes we're out there every 2 to 3 weeks putting another application on there just to keep those plants green. But we are flowering, we're setting yield. We want to keep those plants photosynthesizing. And that's the way we're going to get the best chance of creating yield out there. And so, the fields typically at high in pH, the ones that give us problems, just stay on top of that and get that taken care of. Now, what about if they're just light pale yellow? And with some of this water in places sitting, we're seeing that nitrogen deficiency out there, that just general pale green, light yellow color. And yeah, you'd like to go out and just throw more nitrogen out there, but the challenge is that there's probably a cause under the ground that's causing that not to uptake nitrogen. So, if it's been wet long enough, we got some disease on those roots. The nodulations don't have enough oxygen to create the nitrogen down there, and so with that in mind, it's oftentimes hard to bring those areas back unless we can really fix the drainage in those areas and get that water away and keep it away versus just throw a little extra nitrogen on those. So identification first, and then let's look at solutions to get those taken care of. So finally today, I do have a special guest with me, Miss Erin Smeltzy, and she is our digital effectiveness and training lead. Welcome, Erin.
Good morning, Charles. Thanks for having me this morning.
Absolutely. So, as you can tell from the conversation this morning already, I love this new GHX app and been using it quite a bit. I wondered if you can just help our listeners with some questions that they might have about that. And the first one is, really most importantly, is why would my listeners want to download and use the GHX mobile app?
Yeah, sure. So GHX Mobile was really built as a one-stop shop for our growers. So there's a lot of various agronomic apps on the market today, but lots of times we know we have to have multiple of them to get all of the information we're looking for. So the reason GHX was really started was an effort to kind of bring all things together, whether it be, reviewing their proposals, applying for finance, paying their bill, viewing planting plans during season, accessing local market information, looking at agronomic weather, being able to scout and access imagery. Really, it brings all of these things together. And what's really nice about it is it's a free resource and it's truly a differentiator for us because it provides such powerful agronomic insights. I'm not quite sure we have enough time today to talk through all the features, but GHX Mobile has definitely something for everyone. So, a few of our unique features would be, the planting and spray clock that takes into consideration different weather conditions. And the clock really just offers suggestions as to if it's a good or bad day to plant. All of the information we can unlock by field is quite unique. So, for example, some of the things you've mentioned, looking at soil temperature early, but throughout the growing season, we can look at rainfall by field or crop development stages, and now even yield projections. So, I wouldn't dismiss our markets tab that allows an individual to look at local elevator prices and a map view. But really, Charles, there's so many things for everybody in there.
Well, I appreciate that. I love the satellite imagery. I love the fact that I can look at it and predict when that crop is actually going to hit maturity, and the fact that it's truly field by field information. It's not just generic information. So that to me is really cool from my perspective. But from your perspective, what do you feel is the most valuable tool or tools in the app?
Yeah, so at different times of the year, I think, there's probably different components that people find to provide value, but considering kind of where we are today, I think there's a couple components. And one of those things is, if we enter in the field information, we then have the ability, like you mentioned, to look at that high resolution imagery, that 5 meter by 5 meter resolution. And what's really important about this is imagery really allows us to understand what's going on in each field. And as we know, imagery can't replace, our boots on the ground scouting, but it can certainly help a grower better focus their time in fields that may need their attention a little bit more. In addition to imagery, again, that field information allows us to look at field by field crop development trends. And this is especially important when we're thinking about applications, whether they be post emergent applications or supplemental nitrogen applications or even fungicide applications. So, as we progress throughout the season, these trends allow us to think again about dry down as we approach harvest, which will be on the forefront of many growers' minds as we turn the page here into the middle of August. So, but the most recent thing under our yield tile is we start to look at field yield projections in conjunction with the field by field weather and field by field crop development, just to start to set yield expectations and to see where we're trending throughout the growing season. So right now, like I said, I would call out imagery and then all of that field by field information we can look at to provide value.
Well, that's awesome. It's amazing what technology can do today in the palm of your hand. And so hopefully we've maybe tweaked some interest out there. And so, the final question is, how can my listeners gain access to this app for themselves if that sounds of interest to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone's interested, they can gain access for GHX Mobile by reaching out to their local Golden Harvest seller. The seller would just need a valid email address to be able to send them an individualized invite. However, another option we have is to reach out to our support personnel here at Syngenta Digital, and that phone number is 270-435-4369. Again, that's Syngenta Digital. They'd be more than willing to get you onboarded. And you don't even have to be a current customer either. Anybody is welcome to use our app. And again, it's a free resource for everybody.
Oh, that's just way cool. So I appreciate you taking the time today, Aaron, to jump on and share some information on the GHX app. And, from the agronomic side, to me, it's all about having information at our fingertips to try to make the best decisions to create the best yield in this crop that we possibly can. So, again, thanks, Aaron. And this again is Charles Scoville, your Golden Harvest agronomist with your Agronomy in Action Focus Friday. Have a great weekend.